Good afternoon, everyone. Good Saturday, everyone. My name is John Stevenson. I'm with UNLV with the Tourism Business Igniter program here at Nevada Partners. And this is yet another one of our monthly installments of the first Saturday of each month, the Promise Startup Conference. Today's topic is going to be something that we think is particularly special in that we're going to talk about emerging entrepreneurs and the role they play in social change and social consciousness. And the panel that we have here are both emerging as well as socially conscious. So to my immediate left, we have Andrea Rainey. She's with Jaya's Light. To her left, we have Alaric Green of Green Side Up. And then we have Mel Bryant. Mel, what's the name of your organization again?
The Apple of Your Eyes.
Apple of Your Eyes. Both eyes, not just one. And then we have Shauki Dowd. Did I get it? All right, first go around. And so Shauki is a business and entrepreneur expert from SCORE, and he has his own business. And what they do is they specialize in really coaching up businesses to be successful. So right out of the gate, we're going to start with you, Dre. I want to talk about your organization, how you came into that organization, and what you hope to accomplish with it.
So, as John said, my name is Andrea Rainey, and my organization is called Jaya's Light Children's Foundation. What we do is our mission is to help children in emergency need of clothing. We also support their athletic endeavors. We like to say socialization and support of their athletic endeavors. The way it was brought about was my granddaughter Jaya Brooks. She was 3.5, and she was killed in a crash with a wrong-way driver. So my master's degree was in social work and trauma, and I was working at one of the hospitals, and I used to see the kids come in and get all their clothes cut off, and I was like, how traumatic. I'm also the assistant director in a substance abuse facility here, and I see homelessness. I see the people come in with a need, but to see children come in trauma need, because I was in P's and PICU, and their clothes get cut off, and I would think my granddaughter Jaya has a lot of clothes, like I can just donate them to the hospitals, because then these kids just sit in these robes and then they're scared. It's just trauma on top of trauma. Then that happened in December. Last December 9th it happened. The crash happened. And she passed on the 11th. And I was still doing my practicum at the hospital. It was like the midpoint. And then I was like, so this is what I'm supposed to do now, is to continue to help these people, these children and these people and families in our community. And so that's where I started Jaya's Light. And the Children's Foundation, again, is to bring clothing to children in the hospitals. It started off with like Superman pajamas, because once you get everything cut off and they find out what's hurt where and what do we got to stitch where, now you're in a hospital gown. Well, instead I would start donating Superman pajamas and blankets and stuff like that, just to make it a little less stressful on them, a little less traumatic, in that realm, if my child's less stressed, then as a parent, I'm still a little bit anxious, but I'm a little bit less stressed too, right? Right? It doesn't always have to be such a traumatic experience for these children. And Jaya was a gymnast. So she loved playing with her friends. She just loved life. At 3.5, that's all she knew was love. And so we sponsor children at her gym that she went to. Go for It Gymnastics. We also sponsor children at Silver Mesa, like the rec centers in the lower socioeconomic areas. The children whose parents need the help, again, to help alleviate some of the stress that, instead of buying maybe a dinner or putting your kid in sports, let us help you put your kid in sports and you worry about the dinner. Right. Yeah, so we turned our pain into tragedy, we turned our pain into purpose. And from the tragedy, I've learned that there's no statute against wrong-way driving. So I guess, God puts us in the, whoever you believe in, puts us in these positions wherever we are, because I'm a strong social advocate. Like I said, my master's is social work. I've worked in this field for many years. And so I was like, well, really? Well, we got to do something about that too. Mm-hmm. So I got on board with the assemblyman in our district, Brian Hibbets. And I said, hey, you know this? We don't even have wrong way driving in our statutes. And coincidentally, maybe it's just because it happened to me, but then I started noticing another one. I can't tell you how many wrong way drivers there were. I did research because I'm a research freak. I love to learn. So, and I feel like the best way I can present it is to educate myself. So in doing that, I gathered all the information. I gathered what is the wrong way rules in Utah, New Mexico. There's only like 4 or 5 that even have wrong way
statutes,
like consequences, like yeah,
a criminal statute.
Yeah, like some kind of consequence. Sorry, it slips me right now, but so yeah, I did that. I presented it to him, and through that, he's adopted the bill 161, which all of our traffic things were decriminalized. So like if you don't pay your traffic ticket, instead of going to jail, it's gonna go on your credit. I'm like, so what is that going to do to deter anyone? So what he's doing with Bill 161, from my understanding, I have to meet with him at the end of this month. We meet monthly, and in November, I'm hoping he has a copy of the bill so that I have more information. But it is going to recriminalize reckless driving to include wrong way driving in that statute. And that's what we're going for.
Hey, thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you again for sharing. I know this was not easy to talk about. So we appreciate your bravery in doing as much. Alaric, would you tell us something about Green Side Up, how it came to be, what it does, and what you're hoping to accomplish socially?
Thank you. It takes, for me, and what I do is based on things like this. And so what we do is those who are closest to the problem are closest to the solution. So you had to experience that problem to even be able to see, where the other problem was.
Well said. Well said.
Right. And so that's why I started Green Side Up. I started Green Side Up after doing years of doing vertical farming. My background is in IT, so data center optimization and cloud and backup recovery. 2015, I moved to Dallas, where I was working for a company, Rackspace, doing data center optimization. I had a coworker who lived in South Dallas. And this is probably the only place in the country where Malcolm X and Martin Luther King crossed. And it would look like a bomb went off over there. So, grocery stores, homelessness, a lot of crime, education. I started to find out about, this was identified as a food desert. I found out that South Dallas had the highest amputations in the country from diabetes. And I wanted to figure out how to solve those problems, right? The root cause of those problems that I found, that I discovered, no matter how many different food deserts and where I went in the country, was the access, was the food, what we're putting inside of our bodies. And so while people suffer from diabetes, now we are passing down generations of unhealthiness. So now you have kids that have childhood diabetes. Diabetes is something that you get over a period of time from eating a certain way. And so now when you start to have childhood diabetes, that means that it's gotten to such a critical mass point that we're now passing it down to the next generation. And so we formed Green Side Up with my partner Mitchell, and he worked in working with youth. Our goal was basically not just to grow food, but to teach the art and teach the skill set that goes into growing food, the innovation that goes into growing food. Agriculture is one of the oldest professions in the world, right? And right now we're losing our farmers. The average farmer right now is 58 years old. And anytime you have an industry where the average person is 30 years old or above, that's an industry on its way to extinction. So that's how serious and critical it is for us to grow food. So for us, it's more so looking at now, how do you do it intelligently? How do you do it smartly? How do you do it to really address those communities that are having those problems? So in a food desert, kind of like what you were saying, as far as how do you start to take this problem and turn it into an asset? How do you start to look at, reverse engineering what these problems are, as opposed to just sitting in the problems? right? And waiting for somebody on the outside to come and fix it. So for us, it's about, if you do this indoor agriculture, you do vertical farming, you do innovative agriculture in the communities that have those challenges, what you're doing is empowering that community to, one, solve its own problem, right? Because nobody can solve this problem, right? They just have to have the skills and the tools and the resources to be able to come up with their particular solution is. I was talking to a gentleman back there, and one of the things with him, I explained to him, is that nobody can solve your problem. Only thing I can do is give you the resources and the tools for you to be able to make more effective decisions about what your problem is and how to address it. Mm-hmm. So for us, that's how we use farming and agriculture. We use it more so as a social and economic stimulus for a community. So if you imagine, right across the street, we have the historic West Side, well-known food desert. High rate of diabetes, high rate of homelessness, high rate of economic disparities, all those different things. How do you solve it? Our whole thing is not solving the problem, but creating a tool to address what the problem is. And so if we start to put vertical farms and put where your food comes from in your face on a regular basis, then it starts to become a habit. Mm-hmm. It starts to become normal. Just like we upgrade our phones, we have to upgrade where we get our food from, because otherwise we run into the space where we have right now, where all the food that's coming out has been imported. It's all genetically modified. If you go on Consumer Reports, I had to get myself off of Consumer Reports, because every day you get hundreds of recalls on your food that you don't even know about. Listeria, that's one of the recent outbreaks. McDonald's right now is all from the onions. It's all on the processing of where that food comes from, because food now is an industry where it's mass produced, right? So when you mass producing something, that's almost like making dog food, right? You're making dog food because it just has the basic nutrients that you need in order to maintain the livelihood of your dog. That's how food is for us now, just the basics that we need. And so vertical farming and innovative agriculture is just a tool to start to empower the community, start to take more control over their food, where it comes from. And then at the same time, we're in Las Vegas, right? We're in the entertainment capital of the world. We import 98% of all the food that we have anyway. And at the same time, if the farmers would say that I-15 shut down, Las Vegas would have less than 3 days worth of food. Mm-hmm. That's a problem.
Wow.
Can
I see that, Mike?
Yeah. The same question to you, Mel. We're going to do a mic fix real quick. So, you, Mel.
Okay. Okay. To everyone, my name is Mel Bryan, and I would proceed for a second to explain it a little in Spanish, because we also have Spanish-speaking clients here right now that is not understanding all the way the panel. Lo que quiero hacer en este momento, como todos me conocen, mi nombre es Mel Bryan, y quiero presentarles al señor John. El señor John, él era capitán de los bomberos aquí en Las Vegas y ha tenido una vasta experiencia en nuestra comunidad. Cuando sucedió lo del COVID, él era uno de los que implementaron los planes de ayuda de servicio social a la comunidad para poder relocar a personas que estaban desaparecidas sin acceso alguno, y él los ayudaba con su grupo. Él implementó un grupo de ayuda de primeros auxilios para la comunidad. Tenemos a la señora Andrea. Ella acaba de perder a su nieta en un accidente automovilístico en donde esta persona estaba manejando en modo contrario en la carretera bajo influencia y atropelló a la niña al punto de que la niña acaba de fallecer el día 11. Siendo una licenciada en trabajos sociales, ella vio la necesidad en su tragedia de cómo los niños sufren en los hospitales, porque al ser removidos de sus ropas, los niños quedan desprotegidos, con miedo, porque sus cuerpecitos están a la intemperie en donde todos pueden verlo. Ella comenzó a traer ropas, pijamas de Superman y cosas como esta para alientar y hacer esa tragedia un poquito más fácil a los niños. Aparte de eso, empezó su asociación sin fines de lucro para poder ir adelante y darle esta ayuda, este aliento a los padres que están sufriendo bajo la tragedia que ella tuvo. El Señor le puso en su corazón salir a ayudar a otros en esta misma necesidad. Al pasar esto, habló con el congressman y están pasando una ley ahora contra aquellos que manejan de modo inadvertido en la ciudad. Ella investigó en otras ciudades del país, de los Estados Unidos, y vio que nadie tenía reglas y normas contra personas que estaban bajo la influencia y manejaban de modo contrario en las vías, causando accidentes hasta el punto de la muerte. El señor Alaric, él tiene una compañía en donde ellos hacen agricultura, pero de forma vertical. Lo que están haciendo ellos es traer conciencia a la comunidad para que crezcan tus alimentos. Hoy día estamos comiendo alimentos que están totalmente infectados, dañados. Estos alimentos están trayendo muchísimas enfermedades, entre las tantas que tenemos, como el cáncer, la diabetes y demás. Esta manera de enseñar está trayendo concientización a la comunidad para que aprendan a crecer sus propios alimentos, porque están manufacturando alimentos de afuera que están siendo implementados con químicos que están dañando a su vez nuestros cuerpos y están causando muchísimas enfermedades. Él está trayendo la agricultura de forma vertical en diferentes lugares y ellos traen alimentos que están totalmente orgánicos y de esta manera enseñarle a la comunidad cómo mejorar su estado de salud físico y mental. El señor, your name? Shelky está en la asociación sin fines de lucro, se llama SCORE. Esta asociación ayuda a cada uno de los que estamos aquí y la comunidad en diversas formas. Los ayuda empezando planes de negocio, si necesitan ayuda financiera, ellos lo educan, le dan los instrumentos, le dan las formas para poder hacerlo. Si no saben un lenguaje, también buscan la manera de poder ponerlos ahí. El servicio que necesiten para empezar su propio negocio, aprender todo lo que tiene que ver con impuestos, aprender todo lo que tiene que ver con las reglas y normas que requieren los Estados Unidos para que usted emprenda y empiece su propio negocio, la compañía sin fines de lucro SCORE se encarga de ayudarlos y guiarlos. Ahora, venimos al punto mío. Yo soy una asociación sin fines de lucro, soy maestra. La asociación mía se encarga de traer esperanza y un futuro mejor a aquellos que no tienen luz, que están viéndose extremadamente desamparados, solos, que se sienten en este país donde llegaron sin familia, sin amistad, no saben en qué dirección ir, no saben qué hacer. La niña de tus ojos está aquí para servirle, darte esa mano ayuda, ese apoyo, ese cariño, ese confort para que tú sepas que sí puedes, que tú puedes y los Estados Unidos de América es la respuesta. Viniste aquí y sí tenemos la manera de ayudarte y lo que no sepamos, buscamos ese servicio y te lo damos. No trabajamos solamente con las mujeres, trabajamos también con personas que son indigentes, que no tienen casa, buscándole dónde vivir, le buscamos y le damos servicios a ellos. Trabajamos también con la comunidad, también con los niños y le enfocamos a los niños los valores y traemos a los niños a que aprendan a emprender y ser de desarrollo, influencia a la comunidad. Now, I will back to English.
Hold on real quick. That was beautifully done.
Thank you. To God be the glory. And I may say, my name is Mel Bryan. I'm a child of God. Who I am, I'm actually a person that brings hope and a brighter future to others. The Lord actually gave me that opportunity. He called me the apple of his eyes. He rescued me from a tragedy time in my relationship, in my home. I felt that I was homeless. I felt not wanted, and I wanted to take my life away because of things and circumstances that had happened at that given moment in my life. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have a family member. I didn't have anybody to talk to. But he was so amazing. He sent angels to my path and helped me to come out of that and understand that there's hope. There's a brighter future, and he have a better plan for me. Then I understood that everything that I went through, just like with Jave, that you went through all that, he spoke to us And even though that we went through such a hard time in amazing pain, is like there's no word to explain the pain and the hurt, but he told us that it was actually a way of showing us that we are a light and a future for those, a voice for those that feel that they don't have it. So we're here to make it better and let you know life still goes on and it's not over. He loves you, and that's who I am, the apple of your eyes.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Shauki?
Well, after those powerful introductions now, I don't know what to say. My name is Shauki, and I am in talent development and coaching. I'm a score mentor, and our role is to help entrepreneur succeed. No matter what the business is, no matter what the business idea you have or the experience you have, SCORE is a nonprofit organization, a group of retired executives who volunteer to help you. Now, during the panel, we're going to talk about certain techniques and certain advice that I can give you to start your entrepreneurship and how to succeed. Even though the word succeed, we have to agree what does it mean. It means if you take the experiences of those magnificent people here next to me, every one of them defined success in the way that serves his or her goals, and this is what's most important, and that's why they succeed in what they are doing.
That's fantastic. So here's what we'll do then. I'm going to ask a question, so in order to be able to have this be bilingual, so when I ask a question to each of you, if you'll just pass the mic to Mel and be able to translate what was just said, and then we kind of ping pong back and forth between Spanish and English. That way, both sets of our audience can enjoy this. So the question I'm going to ask each of you, and I'll start with you, Shauki, is what are, and I picked the number 3, just that's my thing. What are 3 things that present as challenges, for what you do right now, or 3 challenges? And I'll ask all you guys the same question. 3 things that are big challenges, or to be overcome, or overwhelm, or whatever.
I will start with what I think recently in the last 10 years or less became the most important challenge for everything and for anything and for anyone in the world, which is what somebody calls it the age of distraction. We are living in the age of distraction. What does that mean? Technology is moving so fast that nobody can keep up with it. And what does that mean? That means technology is bringing changes to the environment, all the environments that we are involved in. And this is the most important challenge, that you keep up with the changes. This is something you need to consider, whether you are entrepreneurs or whatever you are doing in life. If you are a parent, you need to consider that the world that you lived in when you were a child is so different than the world that your children are living in today. So the fast pace of change, I would call it challenge number 1. Challenge number 2: how do you get your message across to people? We are also living now in the world, unfortunately, and this is not only here. This is not only in Las Vegas. This is not only in our community. It's not only in the United States. It's all around the world. I work with clients from all around the world. I have clients in the Middle East. I have clients in Africa. I have clients in India. I have clients in Europe. And the intolerance in the world, people becoming so difficult to hear each other and to understand each other. Mm-hmm. So if you have a message, if you have a mission, if you have whatever interaction with the rest of the world, the challenge is how you get your message across.
Okay.
I will just mention these 2 things because
that's fine.
I think these are the most. There are lots of other challenges, but from my point of view, those are very minor and negligible when you compare them to these 2 main challenges that I believe humanity should do something about
So
it, should be
technology
aware of.
and communications are the
Well, I would
boil it down.
call it not the technology the challenge. The challenge is the change.
Okay, the change.
The
Okay,
fast pace of the change.
gotcha. Okay,
Now the change is faster than our ability to adopt,
gotcha,
and this challenge is coming so strong and severe.
gotcha,
Second, how you communicate with others,
gotcha.
how you get your message across,
Okay,
because we are, and I think we could see it every day, the level of intolerance in everything.
Mhm.
And this is not only in the United States, not only in our community, not only in our nation. It's a universal problem. It's an international problem. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
These are the major two challenges. All other challenges or
they pale in comparison.
are easy to solve, are easy to address, are easy to deal with. But these are the main two challenges that I would like to propose for discussion.
Okay, thank you. Matt, would you mind translating that into Spanish for us, please?
Okay. El licenciado acabó de comunicarnos, las preguntas eran, ¿qué son las tres cosas que podemos decir ahorita que hemos visto como imposibilidades? El doctor acabó de decir que uno de ellos es la falta de comunicación, el saber cómo comunicarse el uno con el otro y la tecnología. Tecnología no de modo negativo, sino tecnología viniendo a ser la distracción. Como es la distracción y está evolucionando tan rápidamente, hemos estado perdiendo enfoque en él y no estamos produciendo lo que necesitamos para poder avanzar y poder crecer. Él dice que la falta de entendimiento, la falta de comunicación y la falta de aprendimiento, o sea, que no salimos a buscar información, no salimos a aprender lo nuevo, la evolucionar con todo lo que la tecnología nos está proponiendo. Es lo que está diciendo que es una de las incapacidades que él ve que la persona como negocio, como dentro de su capacidad personal, profesional, está perdiendo.
You want to go or you want to have Alaric go?
Oh, I will answer my question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So answering my question in behalf of being an entrepreneur, being a teacher and a chaplain, I would say that's challenging that I have found. One of them is fear. Fear is the number one the number one thing that I see in this. And the reason why
Fear.
is because, fear.
Okay, fear, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fear because you know what you want, you have that idea, you have that vision, but you don't know where to go. And then you think, what if it doesn't work? So that holds you back and you won't do. And then the other thing is not knowing where to go, who to talk to or how to do it. And the third thing I would say, financial, because majority of the time you want to start your own business and everywhere humanity would tell you that you need money, but in reality you don't need money. You need to have that desire to do, and then the Lord will provide.
Okay.
Yes, I would say that.
So you said fear, finances, and what was the third one again?
And the other one will be is fear, finances, and the other one is not knowing where to go, who to talk to.
Uncertainty.
Yeah,
Okay.
uncertainty.
Okay.
Yeah. So, traducción con el mío, lo que yo estaba diciendo es de que, ¿qué para a una persona que emprenda su propio negocio o que comience? Como aquí en la audiencia tenemos doctores. ¿Qué es lo que nos pasa? Uno de ellos es el miedo al lenguaje. No sabemos cómo hablar, no sabemos cómo comunicarnos y eso nos inhabilita de hacer aquello que queremos. Entonces decimos que sí, no puedo o que sí, no puedo comunicarme con esa persona, entonces, ¿qué hago? Tomo cualquier trabajo, hago cualquier cosa por el miedo. Número 2, la inhabilidad de no tener los recursos. No teniendo los recursos, me inhabilita de poder ir, avanzar hacia adelante. Y el número 3 es de que a dónde voy, con quién voy, dónde encuentro los recursos, a quién le hablo, no tengo la idea. So, ¿qué hago? Es me limito y hago aquello que sé o que otra persona me dijo a mí. Esas son las 3 causas que digo yo que inhabilita a una persona. En mi experiencia con el negocio que tengo, que he visto y todas las personas que servimos.
Thank you.
Thank you. So from a personal business perspective, I would say access, opportunity, and education. The reason I say access is because if you don't know what you need in order to be able to make a change, you don't know where to go, you never create the opportunity. So you stay in the same kind of rut, and the same things keep coming your way. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. So when I look at different areas that are considered to be like food deserts and stuff like that, I looked at them and I see the same programs, the same methods have been used to try to address it, right? And none of those methods have been given the opportunity to the community to address it, right? There's always an organization that comes in and say, hey, let me feed you, let me fix your problem, right? But the people there never really get empowered. So that's the first thing, is that if you give them access to the resources to be empowered, then they'll come up with different solutions. Once they have the access creates the opportunity, right? The opportunity will never reveal itself if they never have access to the resources, right? So now once they have the opportunity, access, opportunity, and the education. Now you have the access, now you have the opportunity, now you need to be educated on how that's utilized. How do you use that in your situation? And what that'll do is create the economics. So for me, is those three things, when you're looking at a community, if you put those things in place, the natural outcome is economic development.
Gotcha. Now, would you translate that, please?
Ok, licenciado Medrick está diciéndonos aquí de que las tres cosas que él ha visto es la educación, el acceso, and the other one was,
Access, opportunity.
Y las oportunidades. Estas oportunidades son las dadas para que de esta manera las personas entonces puedan comenzar a emprender. Él está diciendo que usualmente hay organizaciones que nos dan la ayuda, nos dan los alimentos, nos dan las cosas, pero no nos dan la herramienta para que nosotros podamos entonces emprender o comenzar. Aquí hoy día lo que estamos haciendo es de que él está hablando que en su organización lo que hacen es darte las herramientas, enseñarte cómo usarlas para que entonces de esta manera tú puedas lograr emprender y comenzar tu propio trabajo o negocio, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
All right, Dre. So, same question to you. 3 challenges that you've discovered in your journey in trying to, to get Jaya's light off the ground.
So when I first started, I'm not a really pushy person. It was hard for me because that was just me. My son was the only survivor from the crash. So it was me and him, and which, he's still in his grief, and I didn't want to ask him for too much. And then we brought my best friend Kimberly on board as director, and Jan's best friend Lawrence on board as director. So, or as the treasurer. So I guess I had to realize it's not for me. And that's where I found my voice was, I don't care if I knock on 10 doors and get one yes, like it's for Jaya. And so I learned how to, I'm good at advocating for other people, but I had to switch it. Like, this isn't my idea. Exactly like you said, Mel, something put it on my heart. God put it in my heart, right? And this is what I'm doing for the community in name of my granddaughter. So I found my voice there. Finances, I agree. The way I got over that was, I gave my son a car. When I got my new car, he was driving it. The money from that, I didn't want it. I didn't want anything to do with the money, so I put it all in Jaya's Light. That's where I got that started. And that helped me with the marketing, couple things that I needed, the business cards, the stickers, and the little things that we did to get our name out there first. And I'd say time, life balance. If I could, I would love to make a living just doing this all around. I bet we've only been open since January. Not only, we've been open since January of last year, and we're still going strong. So every extra waking minute I have is put to Jaya's Light, whether coordinating drop-offs or coordinating donations or getting a call from the hospital. Can you help this little boy, or whatever it is. Every waking moment, that's even while I'm at work, probably is spent thinking how I could do it.
So to recap, then the challenges are the work-life balance that comes with it, the keeping the focus on the mission, and not the grief. And what was the third one? What'd you say?
Finances.
The finances.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finances.
All right. Mel, would you translate that? And before you do, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take what you guys described as challenges, and I'm going to round robin any one of them. So if you heard a challenge, Alaric, that anyone else, give your take on how those challenges could be overcome from what your experiences are. And likewise, so if you heard a challenge from anyone else, speak to what you might have heard someone else, go through and say, like, I've got some thoughts on fear. I've got some thoughts on work-life balance. And if you could share those, because I feel like this is a wise enough panel to be able to share insights from our experiences that might help each other with our challenges. So Mel, if you'll translate that, and then we'll circle back to, being able to, get your take on what you heard as far as challenges from the other panelists.
Ujú. El señor John lo que va a hacer es ahora, después de que cada uno de nosotros hablamos y dijimos cuáles son las adversidades que hemos visto en cada uno de los negocios que hemos emprendido, lo que hemos comenzado, vamos a elaborar sobre ello. Pero contestando la respuesta de la abuelita de Java, ella dijo que para ella el financiamiento era uno de los problemas, el otro, mantener su mente enfocada en la misión y no en el dolor. Y el otro también era la circunstancia, o sea, el tiempo, porque al ella estar de esta manera, ella no veía cómo podía empujar o hacer empezar su asociación, porque su corazón estaba en el dolor. Cuando le dieron a ella, su hijo fue el único que no falleció en este trágico accidente. Ella le había dado el vehículo a su hijo. Al darle ese vehículo, a ellos le dieron un dinero para atrás de este vehículo y ella no quería el dinero. Ella tomó el dinero y lo que hizo fue invertirlo para empezar la asociación sin fines de lucro y de esta manera mantener la vida de su nieta por medio de la ayuda a otros que están necesitando o padeciendo esta necesidad.
So Shaki, what did you hear in these lists of challenges that in your role, in your experience as counseling, that stuck out to you? So like, I'd like to speak to that.
Yeah. Most what they have mentioned as challenges actually are the usual things we hear from entrepreneurs. They are very common, including the finances. But I would like to address the other challenges, not the finances, because the finances, yes, it's a challenge, but it is the core of any other goal of the business, because that's the blood of the business. So I believe if you resolve the other challenges, the finance would not be a problem anymore, would not be a challenge anymore. Now, I'd like to start with the difficulty to focus, or difficulty to keep doing the same thing, especially for this example. This is one of the perseverance, or maintaining focus. This is one of the main point that may lead to difficulties in any business, especially startups, because entrepreneurs, they are like excited about the goal that they have, and they start working towards that goal without having a strategy, without having a plan, because their ambitions way away their planning. So, and this is something could lead actually to like undesirable results in the business. And the way to address that is to, once you decide to do something, whether a business or any project, give yourself some time in the beginning to think, how can you reach there? So I think this would help because many entrepreneurs, and I have a very personal story in that, back long time ago, I'm also coming from the IT industry. I started my career life as an IT person, and I'm from Lebanon, and back in the 80s, I was among the first generation who brought computers to the country. And it's a small country, and we all know each other. So we were about like 100 person working in the IT, and I was among like the stars between them. I was the go-to person. Whomever faced a problem, they used to come to me. But I wasn't the most successful. Many were more successful than me, and here it took me time to understand that. I wish at that time I had somebody to direct me and to help me figure out. I was so excited about the computer and the programming and working with computers that I forgot the goal of that. How can I use this for my own benefit? So this is the strategic planning is so important in order to manage and use what do we have and our resources in general. The second challenge that grabbed my attention is the fear, and this actually belongs to my idea about to the bigger title of it of challenge that I presented, which is the age of distraction, the fast pace of. There is lots. It creates lots of ambiguity because the world is changing every day. It's not like the long time planning doesn't work anymore. Now the long time is 1 year is a long time. Why? Because so many things will disappear and the new things will. So this creates fear because it creates ambiguity. These are the two things that I like to shed some light on.
Okay.
And I always encourage people, whether they are startups or they are so wise, and I give you example why. Always have a mentor or always have a coach. Even the best players in sport, they can't properly play without coaching.
Right.
Coaches help you use your resources better, use your skills better, help you make your decisions better. Coaches don't give you any solution. They help you make solutions yourself.
Okay. So to recap, then the challenges you brought up were the perseverance one, and you said that proper planning is a first best strategy to help maintain that perseverance for your mission. And then the second one was again
The fear.
the fear piece. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Also, to remove any ambiguity, you need to have a clear objective. You
Okay.
have to have a clear plan. And just to correct the verbiage of what you said, the strategic planning does not create perseverance. But I thought the problem that cannot maintain focus is there is no plan because she was acting or she faced this challenge
Right.
because she was more acting out of like emotions
Right.
and out of desire to achieve something without a plan to achieve it.
But what the
That's
plan
why
does,
she felt.
but what strategic planning does is it allows you to say, I'm going to work on the next step and not all the steps.
And maintain focus.
Yeah, because
you will have
Because you can't,
Correct.
if you're focused on all the steps, whatever they might be, you might get tripped up.
That's
But
right.
if you say, all I got to do is work on the next step,
That's right.
and then the next step, and then the next step, before you know
Or
it, you've-
prioritize the steps.
Uh,
and move
exactly,
one
exactly,
after-
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
one after
So,
the
yeah.
other. So this is why I assume because of how dedicated she was for her goal. I thought it's not perseverance. He thought it's a perseverance problem, but it's a lack of guidance. She did not create the guide that is required.
Right.
This is why I always encourage people, especially when they get into business, especially when they get into any kind of work, to have a mentor, to have mentorship, and to have coaching.
Gotcha. Okay. Mel, can you summarize that for us in Spanish?
Ok, lo que estaba diciendo el licenciado de la organización sin fines de lucro SCORE, estaba implementando y hablando que él habló sobre el miedo. El miedo es una de las cosas que nos lleva a cometer errores, ¿verdad? Pero él dice que si no tenemos en español se dice perdón, que se me está yendo la palabra ahorita mismo, no tenemos el análisis, no hacemos un plan de negocio, un plan de ataque. Entonces, al no tener un plan de ataque, no sabemos en qué dirección ir, que usualmente tenemos una gran idea, pero trabajamos en emoción y no en visión y misión, teniendo a una persona que nos guíe, buscando un coach es un entrenador, teniendo un entrenador de negocio, no nos va a dar la solución, pero nos va a crear ideas para que pongamos nuestra mente a pensar y de esta manera llevar en ejecución ese proyecto que tenemos. Aparte de eso, de tener un coach, tenemos que tener una persona que nos ayude a analizar, a entender, a seguir nuestra mente enfocada en la visión que tenemos. Y estaba hablando sobre la polémica de la tecnología. La tecnología ha sido una cosa que está evolucionando todos los días y si nosotros no nos quedamos al margen por estar totalmente desfocados de la visión que tenemos, tendemos a perder esa esperanza, tendemos a perder ese deseo de hacer y pensamos que no podemos hacer el negocio o emprender. Por eso que indica de que es bueno que al empezar siempre tengas a alguien de tu lado que te ayude a mantenerte enfocado, esto sea un entrenador o una persona a la cual confías, que sepan y ellos puedan empujarte a que tú sigas viendo la visión más allá, trabajando y enfocándote para lograr tu meta.
Did I say all that?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So, Alaric,
Can I talk a little about it?
please.
Okay. Based on it, I like actually what you said, and I could see myself there because I made those mistakes where I started out of emotion and that out of planning. Then had proper planning, and I was stressed out. I felt I wasn't going anywhere. I didn't feel I was getting that path that I needed, and I felt as I was failing. Okay. And I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to talk to. I had no idea how to get a coach or anything. And I may say, it's not a commercial played, but I may say once I got here, Nevada Partners actually enleached or took out all those webs that I had. And I also got help from SCORE too. And that helped me to vision myself, to know in what direction I needed to go, and to be more productive. And I want to say thank you. Thank you to Nevada Partner. Thank you to the incubator. Thank you to Elias and Mr. John. Thank you to SCORE. I got a lot of help and also a huge community that once I spoke about all that the Lord put in my heart, the pain that I had from all that I went through, and talk from my heart and let them know they were willing to come out and be part of it. And in the audience, I have many people that have been there, had helped me, and I want to say thank you to them. Thank you so much because they had helped me to proceed and then to continue being a hope and a blessing to others.
All right. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
What jumped out to you, Alaric, of these challenges that you heard, from the panel, and how what kind of guidance or thoughts do you have, as related to those challenges?
So I guess everybody knows we all have challenges as far as like with finances and everything like that. But I like the thing about fear, right? So there's the fear of like even succeeding, and then there's also the fear of actual failing, right? And so I think like for me, when I got into this, I started doing vertical farming back in 2015, and there was no real education that was associated with it. It was just like, hey, I see a thing, I got a passion about it, and I just want to fix this, right? And in that, you skip some steps, you skip some learning, some training, some education that you need to really kind of start that. But it's like you get it. For me, it's like I got in my head that, hey, I started this, I need to finish it. And so my fear was failing, right? And so I was so motivated not to fail that I didn't learn the steps to succeed, right? And that just meant in dealing with relationships. That meant I had a situation when I was in Dallas and started the company up. And because I wanted to do it so bad, right? and I know I needed the finances, that I gave up 51% of my company to be able to do what I wanted to do, right? And I learned later on, you don't do that, right? But it was the fear of not succeeding that kind of blocked me from basically taking the necessary steps to train and educate myself and put myself around coaches and mentors that would have helped guide me, you know, through the right path. So for me, that was the biggest thing, you know, is understanding that I was so fearful of not succeeding that I made a lot of mistakes along the way. And so this is like my 4th iteration of a vertical farming company, right? And in each one, you know, I've learned how to kind of overcome that fear and be able to be vulnerable, right? Be able to admit that, hey, I don't know, right? And be able to open yourself up to people who do know. And I think that's where, you know, developing relationships, right? I like what my guy at Some New Marketing always says. His whole thing is about real relationships, right? Developing, you know, real partnerships and real, you know, people who's gonna tell you, you know, the hard things and then tell you the truth, right? Because sometimes you get in situations with businesses and with friends and family and stuff like that, and out of fear, right, of not having your approval or whatever the case is, they don't necessarily tell you the truth, right? And so you run into that in business, right? Is that because there's so much, you know, business and being an entrepreneur is a very scary journey, right? You're walking away from the stability of having a job, right? Of somebody giving you a paycheck on a regular basis, right? To step out on a limb, and that's all fear, all that everything that's associated with scary, right? Because you know, you got wife, you got kids, you got everything that's dependent on you, right? But you're, you know, again, like God put something on you. You know, I feel the same way. God opened the door for me, you know, during this time period for me to see something. And all the different things that I had in my life. And I've been to prison, you know, all type of gang member, all those different things, right? And then even in there's the fear of, will these things stop me? Will these things hinder me? Right? Well, because of this or because of that, nobody's going to be able to accept me. So all these different things, you know, I think, you know, again, are surrounded by fear, right? And it was once I got over those things that you start to reverse engineer that fear. Kind of like what you did. You reverse engineer your trauma to give you power, right? And so for me, it was the same thing. It's reverse engineering, you know, the problems and the challenges that I've had in my life, you know, and how do you turn those things into positive? And I figure that, you know, again, it goes back to those closest to the problem, right? And it's the same thing when you're looking at a community. It's, you know, it's the same thing. Is that, you know, how do you turn that fear and those things into, how do you translate it and transform that into something that can be beneficial for everybody?
Agreed.
So that's kind of what I've learned. You know, again, you have to kind of really be able to sit in that fear and accept it for what it is, right? And recognize it before you have the ability to change it. And for me, it's just that, and I keep going back to this, right? I keep going back to the fact that it's you have to be close to the problem to be able to even identify where a solution is going to come from. Prime example is butterflies move freely, right? There's no way he could share that experience and help people unless he was able to get over the fear of what happened, empower himself by what happened, write a book about what happened to basically help somebody else, right? And I think that's really kind of like the real role when you talk about like small businesses and entrepreneurs and those things just across the country, right? The reason that these small businesses are so instrumental in the community is because these small businesses are started by people who have a problem, right? They're inside of the problem, like. But if you look at corporate America, you know what I'm saying? If you look at, you know, these large vertical, they're not moving from that point, right? They're moving because they're looking at, hey, in 50 years, right? I know there's going to be, you know, I know that by the year 2050, we're going to need a landmass the size of South America in order to feed everybody, right? And so they respond to that, right? They're not responding to the fact that Walmart's going to be shutting down in a year, right? And that's the only grocery store, you know, saying that's within, you know, 5 miles of the community, right? So how is that going to be addressed?
Right.
You know, and again, it's like who's dealing with the fear? Where's the fear for the people in the community, of what they're going to have to do? So everything, again, I think, we don't never pay attention to, we know the power of fear, right? But how also the power of transforming fear,
Right.
There's a power in having the ability to recognize it as it is, but then having the ability to, like, you're really not nothing, right? I can really twist this and change this to what I need you to be.
Right. All right, Mel, summarize that.
I will say actually on this, I will take it and I'm gonna shorten it really small. En todo lo que dijo el señor Melvick aquí, las dos palabras eran el miedo y cómo sobrepasar ese obstáculo que es el miedo. Él dijo, para poder sobrepasar ese obstáculo que es el miedo, es estar en él. Tienes que haber pasado por él, entrar ahí, estar tan cerca para que entonces pueda venir esa luz y te dé ese cambio y que tú puedas empujar para salir adelante. Y de esta manera es como vienes y traes respuesta a la solución, a las problemáticas de otros, porque estuviste tú, pasaste tú por esa situación, ese miedo, ese momento de incapacidad. Al tener eso, pudiste ver la luz, levantarte, salir adelante. Ahora entendiste que pasaste por ese momento para hacer la bendición y la ayuda a otros. That's it.
All right.
Beautifully said.
So, Dre, I think I know which one
I
you're
should
going
have taken Spanish.
I think I know which one you're going to go with. In your history with counseling, you folks, whatever. I'm guessing. I'm not going to say it, but I think I can guess which one, which challenge jumped out of your minds you're going to address.
Fear.
Yep.
So I'm also a therapist.
Yes. And so you hear it all the time, and how fear just grips people and
Right.
it's such a stumbling block to their progress or to their liberation, for lack of a better phrase. But
Absolutely. So fear did stick out to me too. And the way there's so many avenues, like I totally want to change my first answers now. Like my challenges really are leaving my vision in somebody else's hands. For example, that bill and that law that I'm hoping is going to become law. I'm going to be up at Carson City. I'm going to be banging on those doors too. But I leave it in the hands of the assemblyman to see if he wants to sponsor it and adopt it, right? My fear is that. What if it doesn't go any farther than what I want? How am I going to pull somebody else on board? So in that realm, and I mean, there's half of me that's like, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. But I understand the other half of me needs that assemblyman because I don't have those connections.
Right.
I have these community connections.
so that letting go piece is kind of hard.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like who's going to love it as much as I do?
Right.
And then, so what I do is I set a goal and I continue. That's why I continue to meet with him every month. Where are we at? What do you need from me? What can I get from you? And if it's not enough, okay, let's table it and bring it back next month. In our board meetings, we do the same thing. This is what we're doing this month. What do you all think? Like, do you have any ideas? What should we do to stay out there in the community? Fear is definitely it. And I think that it goes with me finding my voice, right? I was afraid but it's not for me. It's for a bigger picture. I always have to remember what's the bigger picture. And actually, what am I afraid of? The fear of failing, right? The fear of not being good enough, the fear of it. I don't even care if it matters to anybody else. It matters to me and my family, but the fear of maybe not honoring her in the best way possible.
Right.
So what does that look like? Getting those bills passed so other families don't have to feel to help prevent other families from the pain. And what that looks like, you set a goal. They're called SMART goals in our industry. But you set you set a goal and then you kind of analyze it, what does that look like? And you always set another point to look at it. Ours is monthly with the assemblyman. Did we get what we want? No, maybe adjust it. What does that look like? Keep going from there.
Mhm.
Absolutely fear.
All right.
I want to comment something.
Please.
If may
Please.
Okay. We spoke about challenges. And we picked like a couple of them, the uncertainty and fear.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure in the head of each one already there is an idea about, is this something negative or positive?
Oh, all positive.
Yeah.
I'm using it as a motivator.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, if you think positively, you would say it's positive, but we have to be careful. Sometimes exaggerating in positivity, in claiming positivity, leads us to the illusion of safety,
Right.
which make the failure bigger and most severe.
Almost inevitable.
Exactly. So fear or challenge, any challenge, it's a driver, it's a motive, as long as you don't give up, as long as you keep seeking solutions, you keep like you planning, you set goals. If you don't feel comfortable with your goal, consult others, try to set another goal, try to come up with a way to measure how your goals are going to respond to that fear. Don't give up, and by not giving up means don't give up to the fear, to the negative feelings, and don't give up to certainty as well. Well, yeah, I've addressed this one, now I don't have fear anymore. No, keep alert. And this is what I always use as an example when we talk about the pace of change. Things are changing way faster than our ability to adopt. So this is why you have to be alert. The fear is a driver as long as you are in control. I always say that. Let all the monkeys play, but keep the wise monkey on top of all. At least see them where they are playing.
Right.
But the main one, which is your conscious. Some people call it their relationship with God. Some people call it their reason. Whatever you want to call it. Okay, you have to be in control. In control, that means you're aware of what's going on. You recognize your fear. You recognize your challenge. You come up with plans. You work to achieve them. That's what I can say about that.
Yeah. Did you want to comment? Or do you want to translate?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I know for me personally, and I have to keep it positive because me personally, am emotional and negative. If I feel it's a negative fear, then it can shut me down really quick.
course.
So I always have to use it as positive, and it's a driving factor. And SMART goals are a huge tool that can help you in any area of life.
Of course.
Is it set the goal? Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Is it relevant? And is it timely? Huge.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, summarize real quick and then we'll.
Ok, rápidamente para decir, también la licenciada habló del miedo, habló de que lo que ella más temía es de que ella puso en la mano de la asamblea de la ciudad el negocio que ella empezó. Ese es el miedo más grande, que ella lo ha puesto en las manos de otra persona, pero al mismo tiempo ella y su familia siguen reuniéndose, se reúne con la persona de la asamblea una vez por mes para hablar a ver si esta ley se va a dar, cosa que ella no sabe todavía, si se va a implementar completamente como regla y ley dentro de la comunidad. Número 2, lo otro que habló es, hablando del miedo, el miedo es un empuje, es un eslabón que nos ayuda a ir hacia adelante o hacia atrás. Si nos sentamos en el momento en donde cogemos el miedo y lo ponemos como algo positivo puede llevarnos al punto que nos sentamos tan cómodos que aún estando con miedo y estando dentro de esa comunidad, podemos fallar y entonces el negocio puede caer. Y es mucho más grande el dolor porque ahora el miedo nos empujó a hacer, pero tomamos esa confianza de que estamos ok y no avanzamos, no tomamos tecnología para aprender y seguir evolucionando. Dice que debemos mantener la mente clara siempre mantener nuestros corazones limpios y tener ese impacto para poder entender, analizar, comprender y hacer y no quedarnos hacia atrás esperando y pensando que todo está ok, sino seguir aprendiendo, seguir implementando, seguir surgiendo y aunque tengamos personas ayudándonos, siempre estar consciente de que tienes que estar neutralizado y seguir empujando hacia adelante para poder ser de éxito.
Okay.
That's right.
Exactly. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. All right. So this kind of we're gonna wrap this up with a kind of a lightning round and a one sentence answer. All right. So the question is this: if your business or your project is wildly successful, what social change will happen because of your efforts? In one sentence, what social change can happen if you are successful?
Safer traffic laws. Traffic safety. Is that right?
Yeah, you want to translate along the way, or you want to?
No,
Okay,
it's okay.
I will eliminate food deserts across the country.
I will eliminate actually less of our kids being incarcerated.
Will bring success and prosperity to the community.
Thank you. You didn't want to do questions, Elias, did we? Did you do questions or no?
I don't think we have time.
Okay. All right. Well, we don't have time for questions. But I know.
We have time for hanging out and a group photo.
We have time for hanging out in a group photo. Thank you so very much, all of you, for attending. I hope that this has been an enlightening conversation for you. It was fun for us.